But I want to talk about your dad first, because he was your best friend, he was a mentor, and he taught you about, one of his main messages was the insight of hard work paying off. And if you wanted $10, he said, all right, I'll give you 5, but you got to come up with the other 5. And effort equals results, which I think you've had on a coin in your pocket.
Got one in my pocket today in case you want to see it. I want to continue looking at that day in and day out for sure.
Yeah, but that was his message to you, wasn't it? Early on, back from the driveway, or whether you were pumping gas or working on cars. Effort equals results.
Yeah, look, as I look back, and someone said, well, how did you get started? And I think I came from a family that the father and mother were close. They certainly cared about their kids, but also taught me at a very early age, my dad did, if you want something, got to go out and you got to get it, whether it was selling newspapers, enough new customers so I could get a bicycle, or a $10 radio where you needed $5 from your dad. But that kind of elevated my thoughts and my interest. And, as an early kid at 12 years old, they sent me to military school. So I'm not sure what they thought about this son, how he was going to grow up. But I went to Culver Military Academy in the camp. And I think there I learned about leadership. I learned about people. And I learned wanting to get to the front. Because when you walk into military school and you're the last guy in the last platoon, it's the last place you want to be. So that, of course, gave me a lot of incentive which I've used, I guess, through our business for many years. But, we talk about technology today, Jason, and all the things that we're doing. We're in a high-tech, high-touch business, aren't we? But it still comes down to that face-to-face with our customer. And I go back 60 years as a dealer in West Philadelphia. Think about this. A Chevy Impala, no radio, no power steering, maybe with white walls, by the way, under $3,000. Think about that. And today, our average new car sales price in the first quarter was $59,000, and our used car price was $37,000. So as you see these things change, and I needed to understand more about the customer, and I really didn't know the customer coming out of Lehigh and working for Alcoa until I went to work for the McKean,
George McKean
in West Philadelphia. And 2 or 3 years later, I was able to buy that dealership. But what my dad taught me, when we bought Detroit Diesel, maybe 10 years later, he said, send me 100 repair orders every month, and I'll call customers. That was in the mid-'70s. So everybody slaps you're on the back about J.D. Power. My dad was J. Penske, so I call it J. Penske because he'd send me those 3x5 cards back every month. And that's, I think, what really got us to focus on customers. And I'll never forget it. And to me, his thoughts about integrity, about transparency, about commitment, about hard work, those are all the things that we have. That's my mission plan every single day, and we try to pass that through to our people. Because when you look at our automotive business, and we all have turnover, we run about 18%. And that's world class, from what I understand, and that's everybody. That's not just sales or just mechanics. It's everybody. And I think keeping the human capital in place, and we talked about acquisitions. Darrell, I've never found when I can buy a store today that we keep everybody, so I know how you do that, but I can tell you this, that we need to have good people. And you have good people because they have domain knowledge, right? Think about going to Indianapolis this year. The guys at the track for us will have 600 years of experience. When you think about that, Six Sigma is not good enough. We got to execute at the highest level. And I think as I look at the business and look at our business, and what we need to do is continue to take this human capital and promote from within. Think about that. I would say 95% of the leadership changes we make in the company come internally. And I think that that's the secret sauce, whether it's the race team or it's in business, no matter what we're doing. So what was said earlier about people, 100%, 200%. And I think that's how we focus on our business. And a lot of that came from my dad helping me very early on as I got going.
He took the loan out so that you could buy that first store, and he told you, I'll go back to work if it doesn't work out. I mean, that's laying it on the line.
Think about Chevy dealership, 1965. I'd been in the business for 2 years as a general manager. I wanted to buy this business. So I went to a bank, said no. Went to the insurance company, they said no. And I got to a point here, the OEM said no, General Motors. I had a deal, I guess you'd call it in those days. You know why? I was a race driver. So at that point, I had to make a decision. What do I do? And on top of that, Jason, the last $50,000, I had to go to my dad, and he had retired. I remember going to Pittsburgh in his car. We drove there, and he took $50,000 out of his bank account. He said, hey, son, here's 50. Go get the deal done. I'll go back to work if you lose it. Well, obviously, I never turned back, and I never went racing another race again. And by the way, that was the start at bought George McKean Chevrolet in Philadelphia, which to me was an amazing opportunity and just to learn about people and learn about customers. And one thing that maybe wasn't said today, maybe it was indirectly, but what I learned there was two things. You have two customers. Think about it today. One customer is you sitting out here today, I want to sell you something. And the other customer is Jason sitting next to me in my business. We better be sure that both of them, we treat them both the same. Because if you don't, you're gonna lose.